You're live. Okay, you might be live. You think you're live. I have. It's not even that cold out, and the heater was just running, so not ideal filming conditions. I'm a bit warm to be doing a video about coats and jackets, but of course, I did a video about Shirt-Jacs already. I did videos about leather jackets and other bomber jackets. I just did field jackets yesterday, but not comprehensive. So I'll probably do a follow-up, 2 follow-ups to that, and a follow-up to this one because, spoiler alert, most of the fashion guys would just do a video like this and call it, pea coats, duffel coats, scar coats, and trench coats, I guess, right? Or 2 out of the 3 or 3 out of the 4, however many they'd include or discount. I can do math later. So we begin, again, this video with, okay, well, I'm not showing pea coats, and I'm not showing my one mega hunting coat, but I will talk about it that was in the cabin core video I did way back, like 2 Januaries ago or something. And I don't remember if I dug it out of the closet or not, or if it was just in the thumbnail, but a couple of the heavier things I couldn't fit in here for space reasons, so I'll have to go out and get them anyway later. One of them is a Shirt-Jac, spoiler alert, but it's a Shirt-Jac that LL Bean used to produce that they don't anymore, but it's closer to some of the other stuff that is hunting jackets. I don't know how much YouTube allows, talking about hunting, but it's something people do. But to go briefly about the jacket that I'm not showing, the red check mega wool rich deal. There was always somebody in the comments in the reviews when I bought the thing. I got it for like a steal because Cabela's was blowing out of them at the time, along with a couple of these other items. But there was somebody, I wore this to the Packers game with just a t-shirt underneath and I was freezing the whole time. Well, of course you were. It's, as much as everybody, all the fashion guys talk about wool being this miracle fabric, I don't know that it's bulky for starters. And I don't know how well it does. Like, supposedly wool insulates you if it gets wet, but what if it's raining and then it freezes? Does the water like freeze into your jacket? Is it still going to insulate you that well? Whereas a leather, would shed that water. And then what's frozen on top, you could kind of, dust off, right? So I think a shearling mega leather, either a bomber or those Western padded collar and all that, might still do better than wool. Because remember, again, and how much you layer underneath. Obviously, if you just wear a tank top and a wool jacket and it's 30 below, you're going to be cold. You have to put stuff underneath, and you have to, like I've been complaining, have room to fit a bigger sweater sometimes and all that, depending on your base layers, what synthetic versus cotton there. If you have cotton, again, it's going to be less warm if it gets wet, yada, yada, yada. So you have wool base layers or technical fabric base layers or cotton base layers that can affect you, how much you sweat, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, I don't live in, Minnesota or one of those places. But of course, those guys, like Gentleman's Gazette, yeah, but they're in Minneapolis. Unless the power goes out at the mall and they're all freezing and huddled together for warmth inside, it turns into zombie apocalypse survival situation. You're in a city, you're probably going to be able to find a Denny's or someplace to duck into if it's, totally miserable and there's a blizzard going on and all that. Whereas hunting typically is done in autumn or in spring, not in the dead of winter in the worst conditions either. So how well these hunting jackets were, used as winter jackets, well, maybe the men were hardier then too, also in upstate New York and Michigan and Montana and all those places. But again, I'm pretty sure that they didn't just wear that. They had beaver pelt underwear or something too. I don't know. But so this video is going to be a little half and half. As I was talking about yesterday, when I transitioned from I didn't bring in the Aussie jackets this time because that duster is a little too lightweight for winter weather, as I was saying. So if you want to watch yesterday's video, it's in yesterday's video. But I also did a video about Windbreakers back in, what, February or something? Or I always get the date wrong, so, you know, sue me. But somewhere in here, there's a, in one of my menus, there's a video about Windbreakers. And like I said, way back when I did videos about Shirt-Jacs and leather jackets and all that. But so this is actually a sweatshirt with pockets to look like a field jacket, and it has hand warmer pockets under a cargo pocket, which, as I said, is not always the best design. But this I actually have used for hiking in winter and spring mostly, and done fairly well. I don't know that I've always worn it for the entire hike. I think there's been times when I've kind of taken it off and tied around my waist, which again, with a vest, you're committed to it. But it's an Eddie Bauer that I bought a few years ago, and it doesn't have the total true sweatshirt texture to it. It's not a super heavy fleece or anything. But it's not a sweater. You can see it's a fleece that's, you know, brushed on the inside and then on the outside made to look like an army shirt of some sort, except with a stand-up collar instead of a collar I might prefer. Is there any information there? But it has a zipper and a storm flap and buttons, or snaps rather. 100% polyester. So again, not even the cotton blend fleece kind of fabric. So if you have a total anti-polyester vibe, I mean, I'm 80 to 90% there most of the time, and I don't like fleece all that much because I don't know. Fleece is one of those things where I'm either too hot or too cold in it. Like the wind still goes through it. You know, something like this, you would still need a shell if it's raining or windy or whatever. But like I said, overall, during mild conditions, it's performed fine. But it is neither a coat nor a jacket, even though it pretends to be a jacket, and almost long enough to be a coat, but not heavy enough to be a coat. Similarly, we have like an Orvis sweater, a hunting sweater with the kind of patches here, but how much people use this to hunt, I don't know. But with a zipper and no storm flap. But here we have the wind shear lining. So this is the kind of thing that's sort of my go-to this time of the year when I don't necessarily need a full leather jacket, but it is breezy and the breeze goes right through something like that duster that I was just talking about. So if I put this under that duster, if I can get this sleeve under that sleeve, might work okay. I don't, but again, it's got this high collar and I don't necessarily know how the collars will stack up and work together because these things can be, usually we leave it zipped to about here and try and fold it down, and some of them cooperate better than others, right? But this is wool. But again, it's not wool next to your skin, so it's not going to be that insulating property as much because you have the slimy, acetate sheer lining or whatever. But they did this in 2 weights, and I don't know if they still offer either or both. And the other one was definitely heavier and warmer. Like you could feel the warmth even with the stuff a little bit more. But I typically don't need that one. I typically am fine with this one. Because again, if I need a heavier thing, I'll grab a leather jacket or something anyway. So not quite yet in coats. We have the chameleons, and there's a couple things that I didn't bring in that also you will, again, maybe see in the very soon follow-up to this one if I end up having to get those out to actually wear them. This one I showed yesterday, so briefly, this is a bomber-style jacket, but it's not insulated. It has cargo pockets. It has the ribbed knit cuffs and bottom. It does not have insulation. Some versions will. This one does not. So again, something you would have to layer with. But again, if you're wearing this because it's camo specifically for hunting, again, you're theoretically not out in super 40 below degree blizzard conditions and such yet anyway in most places. If you're in, you know, Montana or Alaska or whatever, this is your summer wear. You need this in July already. But so a jacket, though, the length is shorter than a coat. The weight is lighter than a coat. People like to use those words interchangeably, and they're not the same thing. But again, you might be better off with a leather jacket and then just wearing something camouflage over top of that if you need more protection from weather or abrasion or whatever. Yada, yada, yada. And then kind of along those lines, like this is the kind of old man bummy kind of thing that, you know, this probably looked really stylish in 1968 or whatever, but now it, you know, goes for a few bucks at a thrift store or whatever. But again, not insulated, just a satin thing. Technically a windbreaker more than a car coat, although car coats are shorter than pea coats and whatnot because cars. This is a little lightweight, but you could still call it a car coat, maybe. It just has a little bit of hand warmer pockets, and it might have an inner pocket. I don't even think it has an inner pocket. No. So Sag Harbor, whoever they are, the tag's been cut off before I ever got it. But, you know, the kind of thing that, you know, your grandpa or great grandpa wore. So it would be a little bit more fashiony if it wasn't like, you know, pre-damaged and stained when I got it. And of course I bought it because it's, you know, it matches this hat pretty well. About 100%. Or maybe I think I got the hat first and I saw the jacket. But I could be wrong. I might have just saw the jacket and said, ooh, ugly old man thing. Yeah, I don't remember. But not going, even though it looks tweedy, not going to be terribly warm, possibly a real tweed, possibly a synthetic. Again, the tags have been removed, so your guess is as good as mine, but it gets worn occasionally. Similar to that, though, but costing way, way more, is this kind of hybrid. This is from one of those companies where I expected the tweed to be kind of top-notch and super heavy and all that, and instead it's a bit flimsy, and I don't recall if I've showed it before, but it's not really a car coat. It's more of an old man walking coat, but it's kind of in between. It could be both. It has one chest pocket and two pretty large cargo pockets, but I did not include it in field jackets because it just has buttons and no storm flaps and belts or drawstrings, or, you know, it doesn't have a big regular collar, not a hood or any of the kind of field coat features we expect, but made to look like a traditional car coat or hunting coat. It does have a little bit of venting at the sides, but not the back. But it does have a full back, not a seam. A lot of them will have a seam right here instead of just here, where they've stitched together two pieces of fabric. It's not fully lined, though. This is why I complain that for what it looks like and what it is two different things, because the wind just goes right through this. Everybody can talk about wool tweed all they want, but, and it's a nice Donegal on a herringbone or whatever, but you can not quite see my hand through it. Maybe if I put the light through the back side or something, I don't remember. I mean, I can see through it. I can see through it with the light there, but you can't see through it, right? But anyway, anything with that much see-through, even if it doesn't show up on camera, you know, it's pretty lightweight, not really stout. And so again, you're going to need base layers. You're going to need under things. You know, it's not going to be what you think it is for how much it's cost. And then, of course, I got it in a large, which means it's basically a size too small. So I can't even really button it up comfortably, which, you know, again, is fine if I have layers. But I would want to have like that red sweater that I was just showing with the lining, the wind membrane kind of thing layering under it. And that thing's bulky enough on it is that this will not really fit comfortably over that. So a windbreaker on top of a windbreaker. but it calls itself a hunting coat. Okay, so breaking from the hunting coats temporarily, slightly, for a minute, a moment. The one I just did a whole long video about the varsity jacket, so I won't go on and on, but it's another jacket, but this one's a heavier wool. This one has insulation. This one has leather sleeves. And again, not considered a coat, even though it's almost heavy enough to be a coat between the wool and the insulating and the leather. Yeah, still a jacket, still not quite a coat. Although I think other people have pointed out that the modern coats still aren't the same heavy duty thing as the older coats all the time. I think they give you more like 18-ounce fabric than 24-ounce fabric, that kind of thing. Okay, that one's kind of buried under that one. So instead, we'll talk about Shirt-Jacs briefly. So again, a Shirt-Jac, no storm flaps typically, just snaps. This one has fleece inside instead of flannel, which makes it, again, not necessarily as warm as you'd think it would be. It's kind of one of those things where it's warmer when you don't need it warmer, and it's not as warm when you do want it warmer kind of thing. So I usually just go with the flannel ones, but this one does have the fleece. But of course, I like the design of this when I got it because I already had two. So I didn't really need this one when I got it. But I did. And, you know, somewhat adjustable cuffs. A heavy, pretty heavy canvas when LL Bean was kind of starting to mess with the weight of them, though. My older one definitely has a heavier canvas, but this one, I guess they figured, well, we gave you the fleece, so you don't need the rougher exterior, right? Or the more durable experience or whatever. But this was on their Ironworks label instead of their regular label. So for Ironworks, you'd think it would be their roughest, toughest thing ever, and it's really not. So a little bit of marketing there. And this one's a large. I think it still fits. I'm not sure. They did add snaps to the chest pockets that weren't there on the other ones, but they're not great snaps. They're okay snaps. They had changed the snaps at least twice since I got the other ones. The first ones I got have great snaps. The next one I got had these rattly kind of crap, noisy, inferior, flimsy snaps, but the same style. These are totally different style. That other one's out in the garage somewhere. So I won't be showing that one, but it's probably a little closer to this fabric than the other fabric in weight, but I think the texture is still the same as that fabric. But it's definitely flannel lined, so it doesn't matter. Anyway, this one I had just showed in the hockey videos, or video, sorry. But I didn't show it in depth. But yeah, a flannel lining, so not as warm, supposedly, but much more robust. This one's been washed a lot and worn quite a bit, but you can really see the canvas texture there. This is what I thought I was getting when I bought those Australian Duster and Bomber jackets. I thought I was getting a canvas that was going to rival this. So LL Bean, if they still offer this in their field coat fabric, I hope, I don't know. And it can show you the type of snap that I'm talking about is that. And you can see riveted pockets, but no flaps. But yeah, this thing was a champ. I beat this up a lot, doing work and other things in it before I just got tired of the color and didn't want to wear this out on the town. So that's when I bought the burgundy one that I didn't end up hardly wearing. And then a couple of years later, I bought that brown one that I wore a little bit more than the burgundy one. But yeah, there's a little bit of wear and tear here. But again, this is a Shirt-Jac, and you can see the dirty, kind of a bit of the grime and the wear, maybe. I don't know if I can really zero in on all that, but it's just not. Yeah, it translates okay. But yeah, this is literally 20-something years old, and so yes, it's lasted that long because I don't wear it that much anymore, but I still have it if I need it, right? But anyway, that is the quality of canvas that I expect to get when I spend $200 on a jacket, and I can get one cheaper at LL Bean with less features. that's better, I guess. So similar to that is this one, which we'll save for a minute. Again, I showed this one in the hockey video, so if you haven't watched the hockey video, you're seeing it for the first time. But the other one that I got more recently, although this one's a large, I think it's a little small on me. But this one I think they do still offer that has the insulate instead. But this one's a flannel exterior, so you wash it enough times and you'll still have the lining left and the outer will be all deteriorated. Because cotton, obviously, you can only wash it so many times. But two flat chest pockets, no cargo pockets. This one does have hand warmer pockets. That other tan one did not. The checkerboard one, maybe. I don't remember. Also a locker loop. Yeah, this one has hand pockets. So that was one improvement, but again, a less rugged, durable outer shell. Oops. This one even less rugged, durable outer shell, but it has a pattern, right? So if you want a pattern, but it also has the warmer interior. So less layers theoretically needed to be warm. I've never had these out in the rain, so I don't know how well it still insulates when wet, but that's supposedly, again, one of the selling features or, you know, important draws. So I know we're still talking about Shirt-Jacs. Like I said, I'm going to go grab that other one real quick. Don't get bored. It won't really be that long. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. Okay. It's not an exact science, but we're getting there. Okay. So this one was in one of my thumbnails. But this is a real heavy duty wool. And this had insulating. So this was a great find. Why they discontinued this, I don't know. I cannot explain this company to you. They call themselves the outdoor company, but every time I turn around, they're cutting so many corners, trying to appeal to people who, I don't know if they think that's going to be their market always going forward, but like, give me a break. And I don't even think this cost that much. I think I got this for only like $100 or something when it was on blowout. And at the time I was probably complaining that it was a large, even though now I'm glad it was, you know, oversized for me then because I can still wear it now. Whereas that other large in the black watch with the flannel, I don't know if that fits. This one I'm pretty sure still fits. Let's do a fit comparison, even though Shirt-Jacs is not the the theme of the day. So here I am trying on an LL Bean jacket from over a decade ago or something. And as you can see, it fits generously enough that the sleeves are a little bit long, but not terrible. And if I had to put a sweater under it, it would be a little bit awkward. It would have to not be a very heavy sweater. But I could wear a lighter sweater under this. Okay. Then we get the newer one that I only got like 3 years ago or something. Maybe it was a little bit longer. And it has buttons, not snaps. So this is going to take a minute. Not that I usually complain about, you know, older style technology, but when I'm trying to make a video, it's a nuisance, right? So we can see that the sleeves are nowhere near as long, which ordinarily I would say is a good thing. And we can see that the fit is not maybe not too tight, but snug. Not much chance I'm fitting any sweaters under this. Maybe a really light sweater. But again, it does have the insulation, so hopefully not as necessary. But this fits more like almost an older medium of what they used to call a medium. This is now what they call a large. So like I said, they keep cutting corners, they keep cutting costs, and they keep annoying me because I buy what should be the right size for me, and it's a little bit small, not too small. I can wear it, but too small to layer. I don't think I'm lying when I say that, because large should be my size in most brands still, even if you think I'm a little portly around the middle. I'm not that big. This is similar to a car coat, but this is a synthetic material, I'm sure. Hand warmer pockets, one chest. It's lightweight, but we're still calling it a coat because it's cut more like a coat. You can see it has lapels, but it does have a top button, not like some of the chintzy ones where they don't at least give you the button. This one's also a large, and it fits real small on me. I don't know if I can still wear this one. I've tried to sell it a few times on eBay, and nobody will pay my price. So whatever, I might make it a gift or something one of these years. Just get rid of it. I like it, but it costs way more than I thought it would, and has a micro suede collar instead of a real leather or some other collar. So I guess it was a little overpriced for what it is, but I didn't mind it at the time when it still fit. But again, it's another large that does not fit like a large. So I don't know how I'm going to have an easy time getting rid of that. Going back to the canvas world, again, I showed this in the hockey video, but not in the field coat video, because of course the field coat video I was trying to show not good field coats, not good field coats. This, of course, is one of the better field coats. Of course, it's when LL Bean, again, was still giving you a really good canvas. I don't know if they still are. This is still $30 cheaper than the Australian mini duster or whatever that I bought, but not, I don't know, not all the same features or whatever, but definitely a better fabric. This one has a flannel lining. This one has big, nice pockets. It doesn't have true hand warmer pockets because it has this kind of horse barn top pocket for your shells, and then the utility pocket, and then the zipper thing on here makes this pocket almost inaccessible. It does have real like betel nut buttons or whatever. It has this shooting patch that probably does not much. I don't know where on your arm exactly you might need the patch, or if these shoulders still match up where my shoulders are exactly. But when I bought this, it was a large, and at the time it was a bit big on me. The sleeves are still too long, but overall it fits me fine. I put this on there that has nothing to do with LL Bean or hunting or anything else. Corduroy collar instead of, you know, a micro suede or a leather. A lot of people complained that they liked the leather better, but of course, if you wash the leather collars, they get all messed up, and you usually end up having to replace them with something like this anyway. But of course, people felt like for over $100 they were getting their money's worth when they were getting a leather collar. I don't know. There's an underarm gusset with a couple of vents. See, vented rivet deals. I didn't really go into all this in the hockey video, so you're getting a slightly better view of it here. That when I was more, you know, showing how I had put a patch on a jacket when most people would say don't put the jacket. The LL Bean tartan flannel, of course, which since I don't wear enough, it's another, you know, I have to have a sweater under it, especially with the patch. The patch makes it kind of uncomfortable. So, you know, if you were doing that, you know, kind of thing for looks, fine. But if you're going to actually take it out and go after pheasants in the thing, don't do that, you know. It does not have a game bag in the back, though, like some of the other ones I showed. But again, this is technically a coat, not a jacket, even though it's lighter weight because it's an older vintage style and classic blah, blah, and all that. But yes, still, you know, it's their 100-year anniversary of their field coat or whatever. But I don't think I need a larger size in it. I kind of wanted the other color, but the other color is back ordered till March or something. So I guess I'm not getting another one yet now when I have 5 Shirt-Jacs and 3 other coats to wear anyway. Similar to that though, but Peterman had this one in a Spanish wool that I really, really like, and I'm not sure about the sizing. I got this one fitted in a 48, and with a lot of this stuff, 48, like I said, that other wool one, the brown one, can be too small. So sometimes I need a 50. Again, you wouldn't, I don't know, you wouldn't think I'm that big, but it's big enough around my chest, and I'm bigger around my chest, I think, than my actual shoulders. So it's kind of like I need large here, but I need extra large here. So it's kind of annoying. Because then the under sleeves don't usually fit me exactly correct. But then when I go to fit it instead of L, XL, 48, 50, it's kind of like, well, what's the actual difference? Is usually something under here that makes it like virtually unwearable or whatever. But this is not exactly the same thing as a couple of the other ones, but it's pretty close. You've got one here and 2, cargos here, just buttons. So again, not a field jacket, but it's still called a field jacket because it's a hunting jacket. It has a lapel, but it's an odd lapel, not a W. It does have an extra button for your it has an extra buttonhole. But this one, okay, it's the other one that has some kind of tab thing, not this one. So this one has an extra buttonhole where it doesn't need one for decoration or whatever, but so it doesn't close at your collar the same way. And it's buttons, so it's gonna take me 5 minutes to put it on. So how are the kids? How was your day? Yeah, right. Again, in the old days, everything had buttons, and that was just life. This one, you have a bit of an acetate lining. Peterman's one of those companies that charges you a bunch of money, but then still gives you kind of meh quality on some stuff. But then they'll turn around and give you, it's a Moon Mill fabric. So that's one of the top UK tweed manufacturers. So complain about the construction, this and that all you want, but it should still be probably an 18-ounce Moon Mill wool. And a 48 seems to fit reasonably well. Without significant issues, I can definitely put a sweater under this, but not necessarily a heavy Irish sweater. But it has a stylish thing. It does have vents. I haven't opened the bottom vent yet. It has vents, but no game bags, no belts, no drawstrings, all that. But more or less can move, but it does not have a bi-swing shoulder or anything, just a standard, again, standard jacket or coat, depending on, again, I would call this a coat because I think it's heavy enough, long enough. It's not to my knees, but you can see it's definitely well past the belt. And I don't remember if I got this one for a sale price or not. One of them I got on clearance, and it was luck of the draw, but I don't know if it was this one. And it has interior, more gentlemanly features, the inner pockets and that kind of thing. But not a full lining, only most of the back lining, half back lining. So again, the wind could still go through this a bit, but it's definitely a heavier tweed than the brown one that had the disappointing see-through fabric. That was definitely not the same as this Moon Mill deal. Because Moon, they deal a lot with some sport coats that I get from UK. Sometimes it'll be Moon, sometimes it'll be Martin. So I know both of those are English mills, not Scottish. But both make pretty much high quality stuff. So when I found this one, I was mostly pleased with it. Like I said, I might have changed a couple of the things about it, like I would almost always prefer a second chest pocket. The lapels are kind of weird. The not being able to close the neck, you know, that can vary. This one is almost the same thing, but also from Peterman, but this one's a little more robust. This one is more, it's a little lighter weight. Yeah, this one is a 50 though, not a 48. I think this was the one that, yeah, it was on closeout and it was this size was the only one left or something. I don't know which mill this is, but technically this is also a coat, even though it's a lighter weight tweed. It does have a zipper, so it's a field jacket, but also a hunting coat, but also a car coat-ish. A little less car coat than that one, but that one's not meant to be a car coat either. It's meant to be a hunting jacket or coat also. Yeah, this video is going to go on longer than I really wanted, but that's life. Otherwise, it's almost the exact same thing, but it doesn't in the two vent. It has the Mandarin collar instead. It has epaulets with buttons. It does have a seam down the back, like I was saying a few jackets ago. Otherwise, it does have different sleeve cuffs, more like a regular LL Bean shirt jack. So yeah, except for the collar that has this double whammy button thing. Like I said, almost the same thing, about the same length, about the same pockets, one extra pocket. The bellows pockets may or may not be real bellows. No, it's made to look like it, but the pockets are lined in the inside, so it just looks like it bellows out more than it really will. But a nice, I can wear the, you don't have to wear it hunting. It can also be a nice casual autumn jacket. So instead of that duster, I will probably be wearing this for the next week or so when I go out and about. Just because I don't need it super heavy. Like I said, it's a little bit lighter weight than the Moon one. And a Donegal tweed instead, if it'll focus. So you can really see the flecks of the colors, but they did not go overboard with the rainbow. This one's, orange and white and brown. So it's a nice autumn texture. Oh, there we go. We had a really good view of it there. Yeah. And so very Irish feel to it and a decent fit, but it doesn't have any label of the mill in here that I can see. There's a label here. What does this say? Oh my God, it's tiny. Shell, 70% wool, 30% polyamide. So yeah, again, woven in China or someplace, not woven in UK. Dry clean only though. Lining, half poly, half viscose. So that's all. So not a complete wool, but again, with the half vent, the wind will still go through the bottom of this pretty easily, but still not quite big enough to fit over the Orvis sweater. So I don't really need to put this back in. Oops, I missed a shirt jack, but I know I showed this one before. Another bean option that may or may not be still available. Snaps, but with a much nicer pile than a standard fleece for warmth. I think this one's a large, but I think it fits. I have a couple different colors of this that year. Same snap cuffs. Slightly different flannel with the black watch design. I'm sure they're about the same weight, but this one feels a little softer than the other one. So maybe the other one on the jacket is meant to be a little more rough for outdoors. This one might snag a little easier, but this one will just be warmer overall. But again, is it a shirt or is it a jacket? Well, either way, it's still not a coat. Okay. So we're still at, okay, those two and then these. I might as well do this first, because I know I'm pretty sure I've showed this before. This was the fake leather or pleather, but it's an A2 style or a G1 style. Technically neither, because it has snaps, not buttons, but it also has the fake fur, non-removable fur collar. It has a storm flap with a zipper. This one has insulation, so I wish it still fit, but this was the one I was always wearing if I went out in the evening and I was worried about people slopping drinks on me, or, you know, I don't know how this does if you hit it with, you know, cigarettes or not, if this melts or whatever, but I never really had that problem. But where I didn't necessarily always want to wear leather, or a lot of guys will still wear pea coats to those kind of things, but a pea coat, you can burn it. A pea coat, you can, you know, stain it pretty badly, I'm sure, even though it's they're usually black or blue. But if somebody really slops on it, you can't just throw it in the washer. You can't just hose it off. But it is a jacket, you know, and again, there are heavier leather ones with more of the shearling kind of interiors and stuff that would be a bit warmer than this. But it is still a jacket. But like I said, if you had to go, you know, hunting and you wanted something warmer than that other camo thing, like you could put the camo over this. And it could be a warmer, tough option. But a lot of people are really anti the pleather or the faux leathers and things because, you know, they're not as degradable. But this is a painted cotton or something. I think it's a plastic coating on top of, you know, a colored fabric. So how long it lasts before the plastic deteriorates or whatever, or the material underneath deteriorates, or which happens what, I don't know. I've had it for a long time and it doesn't fit anymore. So how long it would last if I was still wearing it, I don't know, because I had to retire it because I almost broke the zipper last year just trying it on. So that was when I realized I had to, you know, replace it and move on. So similarly, another jacket, a hunting jacket. This is another not full wool one, but it is insulated. This was an old Cabela's one. So I don't know what you can find that's similar, but it does have a zipper and a storm flap with snaps. It does have cargo pockets. It only has cargo pockets, no chest pocket, but it does have interior pockets. This one, the ribbing wore out, and I took it to the tailor guy, and he shrunk it for me, but he didn't shrink it quite as much as I would like. It's pretty close. If I'm wearing gloves, you know, the glove will fit under that pretty easily. So not the worst thing, but if I wanted it more fitted, there was definitely more material he could have taken out of that because I was paying him $50 or something to remove excess material, and it still had stretch. So I think he got lazy and just wanted to take off as much as would make it easier for him to re-seam it here rather than what would be more comfortable for me to wear it, but whatever. Because we did measure it in the store, and then you get it back and go, oh, well, okay, not really what I thought we measured, but whatever. And then it's the epaulets. It has this shoulder that looks like it should be an epaulette, but has no epaulette. And of course, it has a regular collar and snaps. And of course, it's a jacket length. I'll try it on for you just to show you that once again, I'm pretty sure this is a large. Once again, yes, large. For as huge as people seem to think that I am in the comments, large is technically the right size jacket for me if the jacket is sized right. Unlike a lot of these companies that run their stuff too small. Large. I'm not lying. It says large. Okay, and it's not real wool 100%, but it is pretty warm, I think. And does have a bit of a shoulder gusset deal. So you might be able to still find stuff like that. Again, that's the closest thing I have to that mega wool, that wool rich one. that is more of a coat than a jacket, though. It's a little bit longer. The sleeves have a totally different cuff system. They have that ribbing on the inside, and then it has this big storm flap that hangs over it. And it has big buttons, no snaps, no zippers. And Woolrich stopped making those a long time ago already, I guess, because their heritage is in name only at this point, as far as I can tell. This company, I tried buying a couple things from them, and most of them didn't fit, but I think their stuff ran a bit small. Rourke, but this is a real Harris tweed now. How much superior is Harris tweed to the other tweeds? Your results may vary because, like I said, if Moon made this, it would be maybe the same thing or maybe actually better. I know some people will argue that Harris tweed is automatically the best. I don't know that that's true. I think it depends on how they're feeling that day or what their specifications are given for the weave. This does have acetate or something in the sleeves, but it has this big pile woolly stuff. I don't know if this company's still around or not. I got this a couple years ago, and this is an extra large, so you will see that it does run small compared to what I was just wearing, but not so small that I can't wear it, I hope. But yeah, definitely tighter in there. So, I mean, yeah, you can see this is almost a medium. So whoever Rourke is, yeah, they want to give you a Harris tweed, but they also want to save money when they buy the Harris tweed and not throw it all into a jacket. Because here's a large jacket, or an extra large jacket rather, that fits like a LL Bean large jacket. So I can wear it, but I can't really layer with it. And I bought it a few years ago and haven't really used it. I'm sure it's plenty warm. It's more of what I thought I was getting when I bought that first brown one, the car coat with the, no insulated and the lightweight back. It's definitely has some kind of tab adjuster here that you don't really need because it's too small to need it. So an okay product from a company that really, really has terrible sizing. It has these fire slicker hooks for the top and then buttons for the bottom, but it also has a zipper. So an interesting addition, but I don't know why it's there when it already has other buttons. And then it has a snap. So they couldn't make up their mind if they wanted snaps or buttons or zippers. So they added all four, whatever. But for the money, should be plenty warm if I need a warmer thing than the other 5 warm things I already showed. Like I said, I bought it a few years ago and was not disappointed with the quality so much as the fit because, again, sorry, I'm a little bit sweaty from trying on 6 jackets or something. But for California for winter, should be warm enough now. Several years ago, the North Dakota fracking boom was going on, and I almost went up there, and I was absolutely petrified that it was going to be freezing. Turns out they had a milder winter than we did. It was like 56 in the daytime there, and it was colder than that here. So I felt dumb that I didn't go because I could have made some silly money, and I probably would have had to live in my car or some man camp where I wouldn't have had any place to put hardly any clothes or anything. Because I was really worried about needing enough warm clothes and what if somebody steals my jacket, that kind of thing. But I had a friend who had lived in very cold weather, and he had said, well, yeah, you need a parka, but you'd also need a puffer thing maybe to go under the parka. So I bought both. So this is what I'm talking about, the guys in Minnesota, but they're fashion guys in Minnesota, right? So they could never be seen in a puffer thing or Cabela's parka, right? And this one was like on clearance for like $100. I think they both still fit. I bought them way back then, and I've never used them because I live in California. And the following year, it was like 80 below zero in North Dakota or whatever. I was way too wimpy to go after I was kicking myself that I didn't go the first year. But if we're talking about a true coat, I mean, a parka is a true coat. And there are lighter weight puffer things, and there are different puffer things. I just did that vest video 5 months ago or whatever. I think I talked about packable vests and things. This could go under a parka if you weren't as worried about needing the sleeves. I don't know if this is as warm as that. I think that one is down, and this one is hollow fill or whatever you call it. It's been smashed in my backpack a lot because I take it as an emergency layer hiking, but I've never actually needed to wear it because, you know, if I get stuck out overnight, at least I can put this on. Because usually if I'm hiking with this in my backpack, it's pretty warm out for the daytime, but then at night it might get to 30 or whatever, or 60, depending on the season. So yeah, again, Cabela is not really being in business anymore. They've been absorbed, and I don't know that the stuff that Bass Pro offers is the same stuff. But now here we have these, you know, pull tabs and hoods and removable hoods and wires and a pretty thick insulation, more than probably any of the bean things that I've already shown. I've got inner zippered pockets. I've got still all the tags because, again, this one is a size large, so that's the nice thing about clearance is I'm usually buying a size bigger than I think I need because that's the only one left. But now 12 years later or whatever, it should still fit. Sweat my butt off. Oh, it's got an adjustable cuff instead of a elastic cuff that's just going to expand and wear out. So yeah, it's basically my size. I don't even really want to zip it up, but I can. But it's not that much. It's actually shorter than some of the other coats. So it's not quite as much coverage down the legs as you might want. But again, I got this for like $100, so if I need bibs, then I can, you know, get bibs, right? So you got hand warmers with zippers. You've got cargo pockets with Velcro. You've got snaps. You've got zips. You've got insulation. You've got drawstrings and cords and blah, 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 and all that kind of stuff that usually you think of as a parka. Again, I could take off the hood because I'm basically never in snow, even when I'm in heavy wind. And I don't really like, but this hood has kind of a visor thing. It's pretty deluxe for what I paid for it. So I don't think I'll ever need to own another parka as long as I live, because I've never needed this one yet. But again, for the price, for when they were blowing out of stuff, can't really complain. And this is a very, very stripped down version of that. Except this was not Cabela's, this was Sportsman's Guide. Okay. And so it's got a decent amount of insulation, but I don't think this is waterproof, or is that supposed to be waterproof? So if I was wearing that over this one, like my friend said, then I wouldn't have to worry so much about the down getting wet and not working, and this being, again, if we're talking below zero, this being that extra layer of warmth that you would need when that is not even thick enough, apparently, or supposedly. It has like one inner zip pocket, and no snaps, no drawstrings, no frills, but it is a size large. So zipper got stuck on the fabric. Because I'm not paying attention to what I'm doing, I'm trying to talk. There's a... Okay. There we go. Don't want to rip the fabric before I even use the stupid thing. But like I said, I've had it for years. And haven't needed it, but here it is if I need it. And so, yeah, it's probably going to be a little tight. Probably runs a little small. I probably need an extra large if I want to really use it, but if I can zip it, it's wearable, right? So that's that. I don't remember how much these cost, but I'm sure the prices have gone up on all of them. So if you're a little bit big, you might want to get an extra large. You're not layering under this, but this is a layer. This is 2 layers. Again, how it performs if it gets wet, I don't know. I don't know if it's real down or not. It's been so long, I don't remember. It has like an inner. But typically people wear stuff like this to go skiing, right? Where you're not really worried about getting rained on. Made in China. Guide gear, field tested since 1977. Shell, polyester, lining, polyester, filling, mostly duck down, and then 20% feathers. So there you go. So it is real duck down. And how much it cost, I don't remember. And how well it fits is borderline. But if I have an emergency, here's my duck down. Not parka, not coat. I don't know. What do you call this? Technically, this is a jacket, right? It's not very long. It's not very heavy. But it is supposed to be very warm. So it's still a coat, maybe. And of course, it has this big, giant, poofy collar, which, again, if you're not wearing a turtleneck, you might need. So your results may vary if you can find these kind of things for used or reasonable prices, or similar products abound. Everybody still makes puffer jackets and things. I don't think that's the issue. It's just finding them at the prices I was able to find these at way back when. And like I said, I bought them anyway, even though I don't need them. You can say that's, you know, excessive or bad behavior or whatever, but the first time I ever traveled to, you know, the Midwest or whatever when I was young, I didn't have anything even remotely like this. And 3 days later, I wished I did. So there is that. Okay, so lastly, because I've glossed over a couple things, and we're at an hour, which is not terrible. I mean, if you're going to try and watch all 3 videos in a row, that's a lot, but another one from Peterman. Now, this company comes highly regarded, highly rated. It's XL, and it is English, and it runs small. I got a good deal on this, but oh my God, I can't even layer under this. I thought this was like the company that Saxby recommends or whatever, and yada, yada, yada. So like I said, not doing all the hunting coats right now, not doing the pea coats right now, not doing all the car coats right now. Like I said, everybody else already does videos about pea coats, car coats, trench coats, duffle coats. But this is a true duffle coat. This is not a Mac, which is a raincoat. This has a hood that is not detachable. It has the thing. It has the actual heavy wool lining. This is the Gloverall, real thing from UK, sourced and distributed here by Peterman with all the bells and whistles and the big pockets and the long camel color and the da-da-da. And it is super long in the sleeves, but also super tight in the sleeves. So right here where I'm supposed to be able to wear this over a suit, I can barely wear this over a flannel shirt. Okay, look at this. This, and I'm not even lying. This, I was just watching a video about this jacket like 2 months ago on Saxby, him talking about how awesome they are. And of course, I don't like the horn as much as the wooden toggles. So maybe I need to check into Brooks Brothers or J Press or somebody and pay the $1,200 instead of whatever I paid for this one. But you can see it comes way down to my knees. It's the right length. It's the right weight. It's the right material. It has the stupid horn things with the leather that I don't like as much as the rope. It has sleeves that go way down past my hands. But I guess English people are just that much skinnier for an extra large or something, because look at here. It's bulging around my stomach, an extra large bulging around my stomach, and I cannot wear a sweater under this coat to save my life. Okay? But supposedly this is a great brand, everybody. Buy this brand, apparently. So yeah, it has this snap flap deal. So you're supposed to be able to snap it as well as toggle it, I guess. There's only one snap though, so I don't know why that's there. But so I can snap it there if I don't want to toggle it, but the snap comes undone. It's a piece of crap. Yeah, this snap is worse than the yellow bean snaps that I was complaining about. I don't know why it's there. It's just there. It doesn't stay shut. And it has this seam here, so I guess if I want to go shoot pheasants, I can do that in my duffel coat and have a bit of a pad there. So that's nice, but I'll probably never ever use it to shoot pheasants. Has the toggle on the sleeve here with the horn, or not toggle, but closure. So again, I guess it's supposed to be classy or old timey or something. I think it looks kind of weird. But this is definitely a heavy wool. I'm not sweating wearing it though instantly. So again, same as that hunting jacket that the guy wore to the Packers game. No, I would need to layer still under this, but I don't have room to layer under this. And it's not even meant to layer with heavy sweaters and stuff. It's meant to go over your suit. Again, I cannot fit a suit in this arm gap. There is no arm gap. I cannot fit a suit here. I don't know what the hell they're talking about. That Saxby guy must be thin as a rail and half my size or something, or tall and skinny maybe. I don't know. Because again, when a thing is this is an extra large, that same as that Rourke thing, with made of beautiful UK materials that I can barely wear. But unfortunately, again, I got it on sale, so it didn't cost me the full $1,200 or whatever these go for. Because then I'd really be, well, I would have just returned it. Frankly, that would have been, I wouldn't be showing it to you and complaining about it right now. It would just be back at the company. And the Pea Coats, kind of the same thing. I gotta really tell you, for all these fashion guys' advice about how great Pea Coats and duffel coats and things are, I mean, I had to squeeze into the duck down thing, but at least I know I'm going to be warm in that. You know, if I can get it zipped up, it's going to be warm. Whereas these, sorry, just not really as warm. If you're in Chicago or Minnesota or some Montana and not here, you're probably going to want the duck down and the synthetic parka things more than the fashiony duffel coats and things. But I'll still get some use out of it. We do still have weather here, just not the same weather, you know, where again, it's heavy enough, it's nice enough. If I'm not trying to wear a suit under it, it will surely be warm enough for what I have to deal with. So again, for the price, yes, I kept it. If it had been more money, not without trying it on first. So that's my grand finale, unfortunately, is a little bit of discontent, but, and that is the Macmillan, or no, the Buchanan tartan rather, because it does have the white line in it. A modified Buchanan tartan maybe, and it has an inner pocket that has a button that I didn't show. I'm looking at it now, so I'm like noticing things that you probably would have wanted to see, but again, I would likely do a follow-up to this video anyway, and it'll be shorter and it'll focus more on those things. So stay tuned for that and enjoy this one. And again, if you have any legitimate comments that really need those questions answered, I will be happy to try as best as I can to inform you from my own personal well of knowledge.